I was halfway through signing a partnership deal worth 7 figures when my phone buzzed. Once, twice, then again. The vibration rattled against the polished glass table in my corner office, slicing through the calm hum of the city below. I almost ignored it. But then I saw the name flashing on the screen, Mom. It had been months since she'd called. Maybe a year. Outside my window, Los Angeles shimmered beneath the late morning sun, 1,000 lives chasing something shiny. Inside, I was the picture of composure. Crisp white silk blouse, nude heels, my hair twisted into a knot so tight it could hold the weight of the world. No one here would guess how much that name still made my pulse stutter. I excused myself, stepping toward the glass wall as the room's chatter faded behind me. Her voice, small and trembling, spilled through the line before I could even say hello. "Sweetheart, we need to talk about your brother. It's serious." My throat tightened.
Of course it's about him.
It always was. For a moment, I saw it all again. The day they took everything I'd worked for and handed it to him wrapped in a bow. The college fund that was supposed to be my ticket out, my future, traded for his comfort. I thought that was the worst part. But I was wrong. I was 17 the day my parents sat me down at the kitchen table. The same table where I used to do homework while Mom stirred pasta sauce and Dad told me how proud he was of my grades. That afternoon, though, the air smelled different. Heavy, like dust and disappointment. Dad wouldn't look at me directly. Mom twisted her wedding ring round and round on her finger. "Sweetheart," she began softly, "we need to talk about the college fund." I smiled, nervous but excited. I'd just gotten my acceptance letter from Stanford. I thought maybe they were planning something, a surprise, a celebration. Then Dad sighed. "We decided to use the money for your brother, to help him buy a house." At first I laughed because that had to be a joke. My brother, Josh, was 22, jobless, and still sleeping till noon. "You're kidding, right?" Mom's eyes shimmered. "He just needs stability, honey. A fresh start. You're resourceful. You'll find another way." The words hit like ice water down my back. My mouth went dry. "That was my fund. You promised." Dad's voice sharpened. "Watch your tone, Emily. Family helps family. You're young, smart, you'll manage." I wanted to scream. Instead, I sat there, my heartbeat pounding in my ears, trying not to cry. Josh walked in halfway through, munching on a bag of chips. "Hey, don't be mad. It's not like you were going this year anyway." That was the moment something inside me cracked. That night, I packed a small suitcase, just enough for a week. My grandmother had passed away a few years earlier, but she'd left me her old silver locket engraved with 3 words. "Stand your ground." I clutched it like a lifeline. The next morning, before anyone woke up, I left. No dramatic goodbyes, no note. Just the quiet click of the front door and the whisper of dawn as I stepped into the world with nothing but a duffel bag, a bus ticket, and a fire I'd never felt before. If they thought I'd manage, I would. Just not the way they expected. The bus to San Francisco smelled like coffee and old dreams. I pressed my forehead against the window, watching my hometown shrink into a blur of trees and telephone poles. I didn't cry, not yet. I told myself I didn't need them. I just needed a chance. I found a room to rent in a cramped apartment over a laundromat. The wallpaper peeled, and the ceiling dripped when it rained, but it was mine. I got a job waiting tables at a diner that opened at 6 and another shift cleaning offices at night. During the few quiet hours in between, I studied. I applied for every scholarship I could find, and when those didn't come fast enough, I took free online courses with my secondhand laptop. Some nights, I'd trace the engraving on Grandma's locket until I fell asleep. "Stand your ground." It became my mantra. One morning, after my shift at the diner, a woman in her 50s lingered at the counter while I refilled her coffee. Her name was Lydia Torres, a real estate developer who always wore red lipstick and heels sharp enough to draw blood. She watched me work the room with a raised brow and said, "You ever think of doing something bigger than this?" I laughed. "Like what?" She smiled. "You've got hustle. That's rarer than talent. Come by my office tomorrow. I might have a place for you. That meeting changed everything. Lydia hired me as an assistant. At first, it was just paperwork and coffee runs, but she taught me more about business than any degree could. I learned how to negotiate, how to read people, how to see value where others saw nothing. She was tough, brutally honest, but she believed in me. When I made my first sale on a tiny fixer-upper property, Lydia clapped me on the shoulder and said, "Now you're dangerous, kid." From there, it was a climb, slow, messy, relentless. I'd work until my eyes burned, then wake up and do it again. I learned how to flip properties, invest, and build quietly. I made connections, built credit, and saved every dollar like it was sacred. By 26, I owned my first duplex. By 28, I was running my own small firm. Nothing flashy, just profitable enough to never worry about rent again. My parents still called, sometimes, asking how I was. I kept my answers vague. I'm doing fine, work's good. I didn't mention the skyline view from my apartment or the sleek laptop on my marble counter. Josh got married, then divorced, then called asking for a little help. I sent him polite apologies and no money. Still, a small part of me hoped that one day they'd see me for who I'd become, not the girl they dismissed. But when that call from Mom came years later, trembling and desperate, I realized I was finally ready to let them see. When I finally saw them again, it was a bright Tuesday afternoon, the kind of day that almost feels too ordinary for something life-changing. My assistant buzzed in, voice cautious. "Ms. Carter, there's a couple here asking for you. They say they're your parents." For a second, I forgot how to breathe. I told her to let them in. When they stepped into my office, I saw the years had softened and hardened them at once. Mom looked smaller, her hands fidgeting with the strap of her purse. Dad's hair had gone completely gray. Josh followed behind, eyes darting everywhere, nervous, defensive, familiar. They didn't recognize me at first. Maybe it was the tailored navy suit, or the calm way I stood behind my desk, arms crossed lightly, the city stretching in glittering confidence behind me. "Emily," Mom whispered, disbelief softening her tone. "It's been a while," I said. My voice didn't shake. They looked around, at the framed degrees from Stanford and UCLA, scholarships, every one of them, the abstract art on the walls, the gold-engraved plaque reading Carter and Company. Real estate investments. Josh whistled low. "Damn, this is yours?" I nodded once. Every inch. Silence. Thick, uneasy. Dad cleared his throat. "We didn't know you'd done so well." "I figured," I replied, almost smiling. "You never ask." Mom's eyes filled. "Honey, we're in trouble. Your father's business folded." "Josh," she hesitated, glancing at him. "The bank's foreclosing on his house." We didn't know where else to turn. There it was, the reason for the call. For a heartbeat, the 17-year-old version of me stirred inside, the one who'd cried behind a locked bedroom door. But she was quieter now, steadier. I walked around the desk, the click of my heels echoing in the still air. "You came to ask for help." Mom nodded. "We're desperate, sweetheart. Anything you can do." Josh jumped in. "I know I messed up, okay? I'm just trying to get back on my feet. I thought maybe you could lend me money." I finished for him. He nodded, looking at the floor. I took a slow breath. Around us, the office was immaculate. Sunlight glinting off glass, the faint scent of jasmine from my diffuser, a quiet hum of power I'd built piece by piece. "I built all this," I said softly, "after you took everything that was supposed to build me." Dad looked ashamed for the first time. "We thought we were helping your brother." "I know," I said. "And maybe you did, but you broke something in the process." They were silent. Even Josh couldn't meet my eyes. I gestured toward the view, skyscrapers, cranes, movement. "Every brick out there? I earned my place among them. No handouts, no shortcuts. Just hard work. So if you're here for pity, you came to the wrong office." Mom's lip trembled. "So, you're not going to help us?" I let the question hang for a moment. I didn't say that. All three of them looked up at once, hope flickering. I leaned against the edge of my desk, folding my arms. "I'll help. But not how you think. Their confusion deepened, but I didn't explain. Not yet. I wanted the silence to settle, the weight of it to sink in. Because this time, I would set the terms. And for the first time in my life, they would listen. I motioned for them to sit. My parents exchanged uncertain glances before lowering themselves into the cream leather chairs across from my desk. Josh stayed standing, arms crossed like he was still the one in control. Old habits die hard. I'm not going to hand over a check. I began calmly. That's not help. That's enabling. Josh scoffed. So, what, you want me to beg? I met his eyes.
No, Josh.
I want you to work. He blinked, thrown off. I own several properties that need renovation. You used to be good with your hands when you bothered to try. I'll pay you a fair wage to manage one of the projects. You'll report to my foreman. You'll start next week. His jaw tightened. You're giving me a job? I'm giving you a chance. What you do with it is up to you. He looked like he wanted to argue, but Dad spoke first. And us. I turned to him, my tone softening. You can help too. I'm buying the old community center downtown, the one you used to volunteer at when I was little. I'll fund the restoration if you agree to run it. No salary, just responsibility. You used to be good at helping people before all this. Dad's eyes flickered, guilt mixing with something like relief. Mom's voice cracked. Emily, I don't know what to say. I looked at her, at the woman who'd once chosen convenience over fairness. You can start by saying you'll stop apologizing for me, for my choices, for my success. I'm not the girl who needed saving anymore. Tears welled in her eyes. We were wrong, honey. We just wanted to keep the family together. I know, I said quietly, but you can't build family on sacrifice that only goes one way. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was heavy, necessary. Then I reached into the drawer beside me and pulled out Grandma's silver locket. I'd kept it close through every failure, every triumph. I held it out to Mom. She believed in standing your ground, I said. I finally understand what she meant. It's not about fighting. It's about knowing your worth and never letting anyone trade it away. Mom's fingers trembled as she took the locket. I don't deserve this. Maybe not yet, I said, my tone gentle. But maybe you can earn it back. Josh muttered something under his breath, but Dad shot him a warning glance. He'd finally realized what this moment meant. I looked at each of them, not with anger, but with clarity. You want my help? These are my conditions. Honesty, effort, and respect. You show me that and I'll meet you halfway. But if this is just another handout, I'll walk away, and this door closes for good. No one argued this time. As they stood to leave, Mom paused at the door. You've changed so much, Emily. I smiled faintly.
No, Mom.
I just stopped asking for permission to be who I was meant to be. Weeks turned into months, and slowly, change began to show. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady, like dawn creeping through blinds. Josh started showing up to the construction site every morning, usually with coffee stains on his shirt and a scowl on his face, but he showed up. The first time he completed a full week without being late, my foreman called to tell me. Kid's got potential, he said gruffly. I almost laughed. Josh, my brother, who once rolled his eyes at hard work, was finally learning what it meant to build something with his hands. Dad took to the community center project like it was a second chance at life. He spent hours repainting walls, fixing old plumbing, even organizing weekend drives for kids who needed supplies. When he sent me photos of the finished mural on the wall, bright blues and gold spelling, "Start where you stand," I couldn't hold back the tears. He'd remembered Grandma's words, too. Mom began volunteering there with him. She started small, setting up snacks, folding flyers, but her energy was different now, lighter. When we met for lunch one afternoon, she reached across the table, her hand warm against mine. I never realized how strong you were, she said softly. We thought we were protecting you, but we were just afraid you'd outgrow us. I smiled. I did. But that doesn't mean I stopped loving you. She cried quietly then, the kind of tears that wash away years of pride. That night, Back in my apartment overlooking the city, I stood by the window with a glass of wine, watching headlights move like fireflies down below. My reflection stared back, older, wiser, calmer. I reached into my pocket and pulled out Grandma's locket, now returned to me after Mom had worn it for a while. The engraving still caught the light. "Stand your ground." I traced the words with my thumb, realizing they meant something deeper now. It wasn't about rebellion. It was about roots, about standing tall in the life I'd built, no matter who tried to shake it. For years, I thought the worst thing my parents ever did was take away my college fund. But the truth was, that loss became the seed of everything I grew after. I smiled at my reflection. Not the girl they once doubted, but the woman who'd written her own ending. And as the city pulsed beneath me, my voice, calm, certain, proud, whispered into the night. They took my foundation once, but I built something stronger on my own.